Okay, so welcome back to this third episode of Intuitive Moments. This is now 2 days after the Bahamas general elections. I want to talk about some of the stuff that I would have talked about in the first two episodes, and then kind of bring this home about just surrounding the intuitiveness of this moment. Um, how do I start? So we had elections May 12th. So today would be May 14th when I'm recording this, but when you see this, it may be a little bit later, like weeks after. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the ways in which, so in the first two episodes, I talked about the collective unconsciousness, and I talked about me trying to figure out what's this next step, the next chapter in my own creative expression, in my own creative journey, what I'm trying to do, all of those things. And one of the things that I've often seen myself in the realm of a James Baldwin, a Toni Morrison, a Malcolm X, a Martin Luther King Jr. I've often seen myself in that realm, right? I see myself in the realm of Plato, of Aristotle, of Leo Tolstoy, of Soren Kierkegaard, of C.S. Lewis. I've often seen myself in that realm, right? And one of the difficulties of seeing yourself in a particular kind of way is the fact that I live in a society where that cannot be reflected back to me. In other words, that people cannot see me for who I really am. They see me, a lot of people, when they see me, they see, I don't know how people interpret the voice because I'm living inside of this, right? And so the way that I hear myself is totally different from the way that you see that. And the way that you see that is colored by categories, ontological, epistemological, phenomenological categories that adhere to a specific kind of way of looking at the world. So, for example, if you look at the world through a capitalist lens, you're going to tend to see everything as something to be used and how it can be used to get to the end goal, which is to obtain capital. And so when we think about categories of masculinity, femininity, I often get placed in the category of femininity, even though I think that I'm truthfully very masculine. I just have a great balance, right? And I'm talking about these terms not in the way that they are conceptualized in everyday life, especially under capitalist ideologies or capitalist nations, right? Or capitalist social environments. Outside of those environments, I have a great balance of that. However, what we often revere as masculinity, what we often revere as femininity, that muddies whatever this presentation is. Even when I'm hearing myself, I hear myself as a uh I think I have a pretty good balance. I just do. But for some reason, my social interactions have always been where people that I come into contact with always view my performance, because it is a performance whether I want to admit that or not. My performance is deemed as is always, because they lack the epistemic resources to accurately interpret what's happening before their eyes. They automatically just put me in the category of feminine, and that's literally what it is. And so, remember when I was telling, well, not here, um, but I think I was on talking about this in it was a TikTok, either TikTok or on Instagram, where I was talking about what stereotypes do. And so instead of actually experiencing me for who I am, people use stereotypes to interpret what they're seeing before them. And when you do that with me, you're going to put me in the category of feminine. But watch this: you've not done any assessment. You've just allowed whatever preconceived notion or stereotype you have of femininity, and you've placed that over me. And you said, "Yeah, that's it." But case closed. And when you do that, what you essentially do to me is you stop me from being able to have an encounter with you that can be life changing and revolutionary. Because that's who I am. That's what I bring to the table, right? Whether you want to acknowledge it or not. When I step into a room, I'm coming there to change something. Whenever you meet me, whenever you have an encounter with me, I'm there to change you. I'm there to challenge you. And I said this, I think, in the second episode. Encountering me is not haphazard. In fact, I think that encountering anybody is not haphazard. I just think that because again, we live in these oppressive systems, we've kind of taken on this kind of haphazard way of thinking that, oh, I just met this person. And no, 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 no. Everything is happening to you for a reason. And that reason is predicated on the internal state of your mind, the internal state of your psyche. And so, with that, I'm now going to transition a little bit into what's happened. Y'all reelected, because I didn't do that, right? I stayed home because none of these candidates, they're not talking my language. And granted, I know that I'm not the average Bahamian, but I once was, right? I once wasn't as aware as I am now. And I think the thing that really gets me and galls me about this entire thing is that a lot of people were voting for Lincoln Bain because they wanted change. And I think the definition of change has to be interrogated. What kind of change did you anticipate would have happened if Lincoln had won? And I don't think that Lincoln's rhetoric is revolutionary. I think that it's very regressive. Lincoln Bain's and the COI's message was xenophobia, 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 and a little bit of transphobia as far as I've been hearing, right? Um, so you're functioning off of the dysfunction that already exists, and you're saying, oh, we're going to use that as a stepping stone to get elected. So my oppression, the oppression of marginalized groups like Haitians or people of Haitian descent, Bahamians of Haitian descent, you're going to step on someone in order to get to the next level. I think that that's weak shit. I do think that that's weak shit. I there's no other way to describe that. And the fact that other people would see that as a viable option means that y'all don't think. Y'all do not. But my gripe is that the overwhelming majority then, because I mean, if the truth be told, the F&M kind of took a page out of that and was like, oh yeah, we're going to address these issues. And it was like, and I can see why the PLP won, but here's why I think that what's happening is even more detrimental when you look at it from an intuitive kind of thinking perspective. Intuitively, what y'all told me, and this is the thing that I don't think that people understand. Like when you're having a conversation with me, I'm neither PLP nor F&M. I don't care about any of that. I care about the state of your internal world. I care about what that does for us as a collective. And what the overwhelming majority of Bahamians told me was that we are stuck and we are willing to go another cycle because we don't know what to do. Intuitively, what y'all told me is that we looked around and we only saw 3 options. And I'm saying to you that others, the majority of us that stayed home, there was a report, or there's a newspaper report. I came with the Tribune that talked about, they were saying it was 58%. There's no way it could be 58%. The quantity of a thing only adheres to the systematic structuring of capitalism. Because capitalism can't tell you anything about intuition. It despises intuition because intuition is the thing that can make it obsolete, if I'm being honest with you. That's the reason why intuitive people are attacked by or they are not good at gaining material wealth. Because in order to do that, the way that it's structured, mainly you have to give up your intuition. You have to give up the intuitive way of seeing the world. You have to give up your curiosity in order to get material wealth. And I'm not saying that you cannot achieve it in other ways, but the way that the majority of people achieve it, they kill a part of themselves, which is the intuitive part. It is that curious part. It is that part that always wonders. It's that part that doesn't need affirmation. And they become this monster, they become this thing, they become this ghost, this entity that thrives off of the misery of others, that thrives off of competition and only winning, that thinks that in order for them to win is a zero-sum ideology, that in order for me to win, you have to lose. When you think through an intuitive lens, or you see the world through an intuitive way or thinking, somebody else does not have to lose in order for you to win. And that's the difference. That's the reason why capitalism functions in a particular kind of way, right? Where um you have all of these surpluses of food that are being thrown out that can easily be distributed to the homeless, that can easily be distributed to people who are in need, but they don't give them because that's not the end goal. I can mass produce houses, but watch this. If I don't have, if nobody buys them, I will destroy them because I don't want anybody else to actually live in them, because that's not my end goal. Is not to help everybody. My end goal is to feed my profit margins. And if you and if I'm generous to you in that way, my profit margins are going to suffer, when that's not the truth. And so, in any event, getting back to this election thing, what I saw was the re-election and Bahamians saying we're going to go another cycle of this thing. And it's another internal cycle. It's another cycle of, okay, this is the way that things have been functioning, and I don't know how to get myself out of these habits. So think of your own internal cycles. Whenever you go round and round, the only way you stop doing the things you do is when you get to a point where you despise and hate it so much. And so what the Bahamas did, like the rest of the Caribbean, is said, oh no, we're going to go another round of white supremacy, right? When you don't have to. Oh no, we're going to go another round of patriarchy, cis heteropatriarchy, when you don't have to. Meanwhile, there are people in the Bahamas, there are groups of people who are ready to move on to something else. So there's a and again, like I said to you, that there was a newspaper report, I think in the Tribune, that said is the officials are saying 58%. Lies. And this is why I can call them out for this, right? Because people were saying to me, I'll never forget when I posted earlier, I think last year or in 2024, I said that I refuse to use any statistics from the census, because the census does not account for LGBTQ plus people in the Bahamas. And people on Twitter were losing their minds. They're like, who do you think you are? This is the census. And I said, I think I am exactly who the fuck I am. Natino Thompson. And I said what I motherfucking said. See, because they don't think like that. And for you to say, I'm not, in other words, I'm going up against a systematic structuring and a tradition of honoring something that should be honored just because it is. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Because watch this, it excludes me. I identify as gender nonconforming or non-binary, and it excludes me, which means that it's inaccurate. And you know what you did? I just shook the fucking table. Because watch this, they never thought about that. They never thought about the fact that they were going along with something that excludes other people. Because in their mind, they are included. And the truth be told, the majority of people are not even men and women. There's something in between, and they just don't want to admit that. They lie to themselves and they say they fit in these neat. Nobody fits into these neat categories. Nobody. If you are a human being, what you call now, I think a friend of mine, he introduced me to, oh God, who needs identity? I can't remember it's a Caribbean scholar. And in it, I can't remember the name right now. Oh, I can't remember the Caribbean scholar. But in the essay, Who Needs Identity, the scholar posits that the excesses of our identity are always spilling over the categories that we think are so neat. And so, in other words, the category of man, there are always going to be things about our personality that the excesses, the things in which we don't fit in. So, for example, if you're a woman and you don't act feminine, that means that the excesses of your personality that are not feminine, what ends up happening is that y'all usually cut them off, or y'all like saw them off just to fit into these neat categories. And the same goes for men who think that they're only masculine and deny their femininity when the actual truth is that their femininity is the excess that is right there. I could see it. It's right there. It's just that y'all think that nobody else, because I could see it. And I could see it because I don't just exist in one world. And when I say one world, I'm talking about the world, the phenomenal world. This week I was looking at or trying to do some research on um uh well, based in phenomenology, but also into the Newman, right? And you have the phenomenal world, and then you have the noumenal world. And the noumenal world is akin to the metaphysical world, or akin to the spiritual world or spiritual realm, or to the invisible realm, because I usually use those terms. But this is another term that I came across this week: the noumenal world. In other words, the phenomenal world is the world of visibility, that which you can see with your senses. And the noumenal world is those which you cannot see with your direct senses, or these physical senses. You have to see them with the eyes of in the noumenal eyes, the noumenal airs. And this is where this ideology of, I guess, that I've heard in Christianity, that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. There's a little bit of truth to that, but it's a little bit more complex than just that, right? We're noumenal people inhabiting these physical or phenomenal bodies, and then we're having these existences, these experiences that kind of give birth to who we become and who we are. And we're always in the process of becoming. The process of becoming is a lifelong journey. And one of the things that I've been trying to understand and trying to articulate in my own journey is, like, what does this mean for us, right? That we don't actually see through the physical eyes, that we actually see through our noumenal eyes, right? Those eyes that we don't think, that a lot of people don't think exist. Me getting to this point, I've been trying to figure out how to. I know that I wanted to be, or I'm supposed to be, this kind of like leadership kind of thing, right? I told you that I've always seen myself in the class of Plato, Aristotle's, like. That's the kind of energy that I have. That's the kind of essence that's oozing out of me. However, I live in a world where people are not able to reflect that back to me, nor are they able to recognize that that is who the fuck is standing in front of them. This is why I often tell people that when you're talking to me, please be careful, because you're talking to greatness. Watch this. People take that, like, people just think that I'm being arrogant. No, bitch. You're standing in the presence of greatness. And just because you cannot see it does not mean that it is not there. I told someone this before. Before Serena Williams ever hit a tennis ball, she was already great. And I don't think that we get that. I don't need to see so under capitalist terms, I need to perform for you. You need to see it through my profit value. I only have value if my bank account has millions or thousands of dollars. And I'm saying to you, I don't live that way. If I only have $1 to my name, you are standing in the presence of greatness. I don't need to perform and be a circus for you to admit and acknowledge what the fuck is standing in front of you. That's not how this works. That is not how this works. And I feel that. I feel that in my bones, that I'm not just talking shit or saying this because I want to sound deep. No, bitch. This is true. It is true. I don't need you to validate it. I am who I motherfucking am. And see, when you do that, people will be like, they interpret that as, oh, Natino's no. You don't know who you are. From I came into this world, I knew what I came to do. I don't need anybody to validate that. My problem has always been that I cannot find people who will not only just reflect that back to me, but also walk in their truth. I know mine. I've always known mine. My problem is that I live in a country where we're too afraid to be ourselves. I live in a country where we're cowards when it comes to what we actually think and who we actually love and who we want to be with. We would much rather go along with the stupidity. We would much rather go along with the jealousy. We'd much rather go along because it gives us a false sense of belonging. I did not come here to play games. I don't watch this. And there's this whole thing about people being reincarnated. Up until about last year, I didn't believe in reincarnation. I read this one book, this theosophical book, and it changed me forever. I'm a reader, I'm a thinker, I'm a philosopher. I am a scholar. That is what is, that's only one part of me. I'm a singer, I'm a writer, I'm a psychohistorian. I know what I came here to do. All of these words came after I knew what I came here to do, not before. And I think that that's the problem. The problem is that we are in environments that try to steer us away from who we are. We live in environments that try to take it tries to strip us of our humanity. It tries to strip us of who we are and tell us that we're nothing. I don't care. And see, I want to go back to, there's this thing that happened where, I'll never forget, I was in university. And one of my professors, he asked this question because I often would challenge my professors. Number one, I never believed that nobody got all the answers. And I've always had this mindset that I don't care what you say. I don't care how you dice it, slice it. Whatever you're saying is conditional. And watch this, I don't have to believe a shit that comes out of your mouth. And watch this, I can tell you this, even when it comes to me, you don't have to do that either. Because if you're following your truth, you got to depend on the inside. And when I talk about inside, I'm talking about up here. I know we like to talk point to the heart. This don't feel. It's this. This is where the heart is. The heart is up here. We're talking about the heart of the psyche, not this. This shit is only pump blood. That's it. And mind you, it has psychic and psychological properties. There have been studies found that the heart radiates or emits magnetic has a magnetic field. I'm not taking it away, but this is where the heart that they're talking about, the heart of the psyche. The holies of holies is up here. And I was having a conversation. Remember the conversation with the person from episode 1? We talked about a lot. We spent hours talking, right? And I'm really grateful that I really did have the conversation, right? But these are some of the things that I was talking about, because one of the things, as I was challenging the person, they said to me, I haven't gotten the answers. And I said to them, well, I have some of them. I have a lot of them, actually. If I'm being honest with you, I've been able to. These are some of the answers that I set out to answer when I was 21. And I watch this. I believe that questions can be answered. That there is nothing that you cannot know. It's you know what the question is? It's the question of how bad do you want to know? How bad do you want it? Lady Gaga has a song, How Bad Do You Want Me? But yeah, I'm thinking about all of these things. And if I'm screaming at you, or if I in your ear, yeah, whenever I get to this point, yeah, I preach it at this point. Right? Because I'm talking directly to you. And if you felt what I felt when I was, once I enter flow state, that's it. I'm telling you, as a writer, I know what I do. I know what I'm doing. I know when I'm in it. And I know when I'm hitting. I really think that we need to do better, though. We have to do better. This is, in the Bahamas, worldwide, we cannot let people deter us from who we are and what we need to become. And I've been good at listen, a lot of people that say shit to me, I ignore. One thing you ain't gonna never do to me is control me. And even if you think you controlling me, I letting you do it, because watch this, I need to figure this shit out. I can't tell you the amount of hate I've gotten for just being me. This week in particular, while I was talking about some of the election stuff over the past 2 days, these people all of a sudden like started to like get mad at me because I was tweeting. And I'm like, you do realize that I'm tweeting from my page about shit that I like, about things that I think. So why are you getting mad? Like what is your fucking problem? Because watch this. I mean, you saying a bunch of shit that I don't like, but here I am. And watch this. I may not be engaging with it, but I mean, like you're taking up space. Like, why are you so pressed? And this is where people. This is why I think people go wrong. Because if you're shining and I'm shining, like shine. But like, all I know is just don't get in my way. That's literally it. Do not get in my way. But yes, I say all that to say that considering everything that we've talked about moving in um these particular ways, like we need to be responding differently, not just election wise. I'm going to use that as a jump off point. Stop going to these cycles. Like have you ever done this? I've been there. I've been there. When I get tired of my shit, it don't take me long to get tired of my shit. It don't take me. It really. Listen to me. It don't take me long to like. I get extremely tired. I'm just like everybody else. But the difference between me is I hold myself to a very high standard. And I have talks with myself, bitch, you need to get your shit together. What the fuck are you doing? You don't like this. It only feels good in the moment. It's temporary. And I do the work necessary. These past couple weeks, in fact, 2025, 2024, like these last couple of years have been the most difficult years I've ever had or dealt with. And I also want to say this as a side note. When it comes to people, you don't know who knows what. Because I think a lot of people, they see me as this. Like I said, and that was my point. They see me as this and they underestimate me, they devalue me. Bitch, you don't know who I is. You don't know what I packing in this brain. And anything that I share here is watch this. It ain't even a quarter of what the fuck I know. So if I were you, I'd mind your business, or in the words of Nicki Minaj, pay your rent and stay in your bum ass place. And this is where I've had people try to be in competition with me. I am not the one. I just came out of a situation where people put me in competition and still lost. You had a whole head start. How the fuck do you lose a race that I didn't even know I was running in? How do I pass you? That's the type of person I am. Because once I figure out that you in competition with me, baby, I don't like to compete because I take shit far. Under capitalism, you can't play by rules like that. Because they always cheating. Capitalism is a cheating kind of system. It's a system where they have to create advantages in order for them to win. Watch this, even with your advantages, you will lose against me if you try to compete with me. This is why I tell people, stay in your lane, mind your business, drink water. Because that's what I do. I ain't trying to be nobody else. But yeah, we got to stop repeating these cycles. From an electoral standpoint, from a life standpoint, come on, man. Like, in other words, how long y'all the children of Israel? How long will y'all toil in the wilderness? How? Watch this. Those are metaphors, you know. Those stories are not to be taken literally. Metaphors, like why are y'all going around in the wilderness for 40 years? That makes sense? Is it crack? Like how long? We've been doing this shit for 50 years. Like that's my disappointment with the Bahamas and Bahamians. Like y'all willingly decided that we're gonna do this again. Y'all didn't even say, and watch this. Like I said to you, I'm neither PLP nor FNM, but like Jesus Christ, like y'all are the one who say the lesser two evils. You mean to tell me that the PLP was the lesser of two evils? I just don't get it. But you know what? It does fall in line with someone was telling me, and I'm gonna wrap this up right now. Someone was telling me that it does fall in line with the way that movements have been doing around the region. And then I was thinking about South Africa, that dumb shit. It's very white supremacist, very neo-colonialist, very colonialist, very neoliberalist, very capitalist. So watch me. You see how I'm blending the nominal with the phenomenal? In the Navajo tradition, I think it's the Navajo or the indigenous first peoples of America, speaking from your heart like this is considered letting the spirit flow, letting the pneuma flow. And the pneuma is Noeuma, the nominal world, right? Letting the spirit or the psyche spirit, letting the spirit flow through you, and they just sit and it, there's so much we need to learn and decolonize our minds about. I think it's the Navajo tradition. Again, I'm talking about the intuition and intellect. They have to be married. It's a marriage, not not one or the other. It's both of them. And that's what I'm trying to do here in these intuitive moments. Marry my intuition with my intellect. Some of y'all can't. Some of y'all are averse to the intuition because y'all are scared of your own intuition. Y'all are scared of your own power. Some of y'all have been taught to hate it. And I know because I went through a phase of that. And I'm back here. I'm in this process of coming home to myself. This is who I've always been. We have to stop going in these cycles. We need to do better. We got to think outside the box. We need new solutions. Whenever capitalism or anything presents you with three options to say those are the options, think of a fourth option. Think outside the box. I think about the Divergent series. If you haven't watched that, watch the Divergent series. Very good. Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, I think is the series. They're the three movies. I like that series. It's similar to Katniss Everdeen and The Hunger Games, which we're going to get another movie, I think, this year. I can't wait until that comes. I want to watch that. Yeah, like, do better, man. Just, like, come on. Watch this. Y'all have already set yourselves on the course to repeat another 5 years. I will not be repeating that cycle with you guys, but good luck. And you know why? Because I freed myself from that cycle a long time. I was trying to help y'all, but y'all don't want help. I can't watch this. I can't make you drink. I can only, give you little nudges and treats along the way to lead you as the horse to the well. If you don't want to drink, then babe, bitch, you will die. That's just the reality. And I'm going to be honest with you with that. I'm like, I believe that a lot of people are going to die this lap as well. People have already been dying. I said this, I think, in episode 2. A lot of people are going to die, and it's going to be for a lack of knowledge and awareness. Watch this, it didn't have to be this way. The majority of y'all chose what y'all chose. And while, mind you, I will suffer in a little bit. That's just it. But I ain't gonna suffer like that. Oh no, babes. I will create streams of wealth and income that exceed this. I will be okay. Listen to me. You ain't gonna keep me captive. You keep them captive. Because if it's one thing I know how to do is, I know how to, watch this, I'm Houdini. I will disappear and reappear, and you watch this, you won't see it coming. So there's nothing you will do to stop this over here. This has been another intuitive moment. This is episode 3. If you want to stay abreast with all of the new information and the kind of moments that I'm having, share, like, subscribe. If you thought something that I said was funny, drop something down in the comments. I've heard that I'm a little bit funny. I'm being dead ass though. Cut the cameras. Embezzled? Yeah, that. So if you made it this far, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time here on Intuitive Moments. Thank you for listening.